So welcome back to this session. Just now we have finished Sol-Gel method, right? Which we missed in the last lecture. As far as Sol-Gel method is concerned, there are three different methods of subpart of Sol-Gel method, like spin coating, dip coating, and spray pyrolysis. Spin coating we already discussed in last lecture, and in this lecture today we discuss dip coating and spray pyrolysis. Now next, chemical bath deposition we have already discussed earlier, so I'm not going to discuss this. Now this is again a solution method, successive ionic layer absorption and reaction, which is called CLAR. As far as solution methods are concerned, there are 5 to 6 solution methods which are very simple in nature, doesn't require very sophisticated instrumentation. We can see, as far as a spin coating is concerned, you require a spin coater, a simple spin coater, whose cost can be around, like you can use simple stepper motor also in the lab. Also, you can have a spin coater. By using spin, you can by using microburster, simple spin coater can be fabricated. Then, as far as dip coating is concerned, you don't need anything. Manually also you can insert and you can remove, because what in dip coating, what we have to do, you have to insert the substrate, you have to allow the substrate there for maybe for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on the requirement, and then you have to remove the substrate. During this process, the film is going to be deposited. And as far as spray pyrolysis is concerned, yes, it requires little infrastructure, little more infrastructure rather, because you need that hot plate, and then you need that mechanical assembly to move the spray, and you need that vacuum pump to suck the solution from the container into the spray nozzle. Okay, so that much, and then you need that compartment as well, because at higher temperature you are going to deposit, because you want that pyrolytic reaction to be taking place, and then you need some proper vent as well. So relatively, out of these 3-4, spray pyrolysis requires little bit more infrastructure. Whereas the CLAR is concerned, here also CLAR can be, the film can be deposited by using CLAR technique without any instrumentation. But manually also you can do. It is called a successive ionic layer adsorption and reaction. It means there will be cationic solution, deposition of cationic. So there are 4 beakers. Like usually, as far as the CLAR method is concerned, there will be 4 beakers. One beaker will be having the cationic solution, and then you need the solvent, so that the excess cations can be removed, which is called as rinsing. And third one is anionic solution. Their reaction is going to taking place, and again fourth is going to be rinsing, right? So what we are going to do? We are going to have the deposition of cations in the first step. Second step, removal of excess cations. Third step, deposition of anion. There the cation and anions are going to be reacted, and the desired film is going to be deposited, and then unbonded anion and cations can be removed again, the last rinsing process. So let me tell you what is the basic CLAR technique. It is a critical operation for the deposition of thin film by successive ionic layer adsorption and reaction method. This is basic. In fact, the absorption of cations, rinsing with the deionized water, as I mentioned earlier, reaction with the pre-absorbed cations with newly absorbed anions, and again rinsing. So these are the 4 steps. Generally, manual or pneumatic or computer-based system can be used for a CLAR operation. I'm going to tell you first manual. The Silar is based on sequential reaction at the substrate surface. Why is sequential? Because first of all, you are going to have a cations, and then there would be anions, and then those, even like there would be like cation anion reactions going to be sequentially taking place at the surface. Silar process is intended to grow a thin film of water insoluble ionic or ion covalent compound of the type of KPAA. It means cationic, like if you are having the compound in which the cationic and anionic reaction is expected to taking place by means of heterogeneous chemical reaction on any solid surface, that can be done. This kind of thin film can be achieved by using Silar, and this is the typical reaction. So this was the steps I was talking about. The first step is going to be adsorption. Second is going to be rinsing. Third is going to be reaction. And fourth is going to be again rinsing. Okay. In the first step of Silar process, the cation present in precursor solution are absorbed on the surface of the substrate and form a Helmholtz electric double layer. So truly speaking, that you will be depositing the cation layer of cations. This layer is composed of two layers again, inner layer and outer layer. Inner layer is going to be a true cations which you will be expecting, which we call it as a positively charged layer, and outer layer is going to be negatively charged layer. It means like you need to remove those. The positive layer consists of cations and the negative form the counter ions of the cations, because this is the process. Okay. In this step, the excess absorbed ions and the cations are rinsed away from the diffusion layer. This results into the saturated electrical double layer. It means whenever you are inserting your substrate into the cationic solution, there will be a formation of the saturated electrical double layer, which consisting of inside layer is going to be cationic layer, outside layer is going to be anionic layer. So this is the first step. Second is reaction. Like first is adsorption. Whenever, like as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 beaker. One is going to have the cationic solution. Other is going to have, second is going to have a deionized water. Third beaker is going to have anionic solution, and fifth beaker is going to have the deionized water again. So whenever you will be inserting your substrate in first beaker, which is having cationic solution, those cations are going to be adsorbed on the surface of the substrate, and there will be a formation of electrical double layer as I mentioned earlier, and those excess anions are going to be excess anions and excess cations are need to be removed from the surface, and this is what it happens in case of the rinsing, second layer. Third is going to be reaction. Third is going to be reaction. Whenever you will be dipping again the substrate into the third beaker. In this reaction step, the anions from anionic precursor solution are introduced to the system. Due to low stability of the material, KPAA, the solid substance is formed on the interface. Like whenever what happens, this process involves the reaction of the cations with the anions. A reaction of cations with the anions. As I told you earlier, जब हम पहले बीकर में इंसर्ट करेंगे तब cations deposit होंगे. Excess cations are going to be removed during the rinsing process. Third is going to be a reaction. Whenever you will be, inserting your, immersing your substrate into the anionic solution, then anions are going to be introduced in the system, and there would be reaction between cations and anions, and as a result of that, the film is going to be deposited. And again, last step is going to be rinsing. In last step of Silar cycle, the excess unreacted species, because whatever reaction is going to be taking place, that forms a stable substance. right? So whatever unreacted species which are going to be there, cationic as well as anionic species, those species are going to be removed, and moreover the byproduct also, because there will be some byproduct. Okay, so the unreacted cationic and anionic species and byproduct is going to be removed during reaction process. This is step number one. This is step number one, and step number okay, uh, all four steps rather. You can see step number A is step number one. So whenever you will be inserting your substrate in cationic solution, you can see this cationic layer is going to be formed on the first surface, on the surface rather. This is called a first layer. Second layer is going to be anionic layer, right? And then there you will be having some excess cations and anions. Those you can see this anionic layer and the excess cation and anions need to be removed. And you can this is what it happens during rinsing process. As a result of that, you will be having only cations on the surface, and then this substrate along with these cations is going to be inserted into the another beaker which is having anionic solution. So these anions are going to be introduced to the system. You can see those negatively charged anions are going to be introduced to the system, and there will be reaction between cations and anions. As a result of that, you can have a Ka stable product. And whatever unreacted species, anionic and maybe cationics are going to be there, again going to be removed during rinsing process, and you will end up with this kind of a solid substrate with solid film which can be deposited by using Sealer technique. As far as Sealer deposition is concerned, it can be manual or computer based or microprocessor based. Now as far as manual is concerned, I will show you. This is the picture. I was talking about this 4 beaker. You can see this is for absorption, this is rinsing, this is reaction, and this is again rinsing. You can see during this absorption, these anions, these cations are going to be deposited on the substrate. Excess cations and anions are going to be removed. As a result of that, there will be only anions during this process, and then during reaction, anions are going to be introduced, and there will be reaction between cations and one-to-one anions. As a result of that, stable product is going to be formed, and during rinsing, whatever unreacted species of cations and anions are there, is going to be removed, and as a result of that, you can end up with wonderful coating. You can see this is the coating which you can end up with by using spray pyrolysis. Sorry, by using Sealer technique. You can have a computer control also. This is manual. I was talking about manual system. This was manual. But as far as manual system is concerned, there are certain disadvantages of manual system, because the rate at which you are dipping the substrate and rate at which you will be removing substrate is going to be very critical. And time for which you are inserting that into the beaker, that is also going to be very important. Manually, it is beyond your control. If you are doing it manually, it is not under control. As a result of that, surface morphology of film is going to be affected. Whereas you can have a computerized system. You can have a computerized system. You can see here, this is one of the computerized system. अब इसमें क्या है? You can see this is the motor, this is the spindle. First of all, this is computer which controls this entire system. It is connected to this computer. It has got this motor which rotates the spindle, and at the other end of the spindle there are 4 arms to which the 4 substrates are going to be connected. At a time 4 substrates can be connected, and then there are 4 beakers. This is we call it the beaker tray, and automatically it's going to so as far as the rotation is concerned, there should be the circular motion of this I mean the spindle, as well as there should be vertical movement, because once you move, you need to keep it down so that you can dip the substrate in the either in cationic solution, anionic solution, or DNase water. And then again you have to remove and then rotate. डाउन क्या होगा, जैसे कि पहले ऊपर रहेगा, आप पोजीशन लेंगे चारों बीकर और चारों सबस्टेट का, इट इज गोइंग टू गो डाउन सो दैट वो चारों के चारों सबस्टेट जो है वो बीकर में डुबेंगे, राइट. इट मींस you will be inserting, then again you will be removing, and then changing the position, and this process is going to be continuous as long as you end up with the thin film on the substrate. You can have this is a computer control system designed by our research laboratory. Right now this is not, because research scholar, those who are working in RUSA center, you must have seen this spare, because we got dismantled this system because nobody is using this dip coating system in our research laboratory. But you can see here the stepper motor. This is the stepper motor. This is that arm, okay, and here you can, this is connected to the vacuum pump. This is vacuum pump, okay. So vacuum is going to be created here. As a result of that, that substrate is going to be, I mean, because question was, तो हमने बनाया था कि यहाँ सबस्ट्रेट कैसे रखा जाए, राइट. तो वैक्यूम से क्या होगा, उसको पकड़ के रखेगा. As a result of that, the substrate is not going to be dislocated, and then there will be 4 beaker of this side, okay. Diff, remove, diff, remove, diff, remove, and diff, remove. 4 step. So within no time you will be able to deposit the desired material on the substrate. And this is the program which we develop. You can see the feed duration in second, feed duration in second for second deep. This is for first deep, this is for second deep, and this is again feed number of cycle to be performed. So how many times? एक बार हुआ, फिर how many times it need to be repeated? So let us say 5 times. So this is going to be a window which we develop in the research laboratory. We can have a microprocessor control as well. So this is a typical diagram of schematic rather of microprocessor control stepper, CILR technique. So here what we are doing is not that much sophisticated, very simple, right? So it's like vertical movement, the circular movement, and then a vertical again down. So going down, and then going up, movement, and then again going down and going up. That's it. So this can be controlled by microprocessor, and this is very much possible. Third year student, all of you, like you are second year student, if you really want, really interested, you can think of developing system like this, which is going to be very challenging for you. What are the advantages of CILR? CILR method can be used to prepare the chalcogenic thin films. CILR is a cheap method making process feasible for commercial application. So this is one of the very simple method which is going to be useful for providing film for technological application as well. Wastage of material is avoided as no precipitate is going to be formed during this process, because there is no question of precipitation. Usually in chemical method, what you are essentially doing, you are dissolving solvent, the solute in the solvent, right? And then you will be expecting that there should be there should be residuals, there should be precipitation. जब हम प्रेसिपिटेशन की बात करते हैं तब सैचुरेशन सुपर सैचुरेशन का कंसेप्ट आता है. Super saturation means what? Like you will always would like to maintain the status of excess salt in the solution as compared to solvent. So as long as it is excess, it is going to be deposited on the substrate. Because if it is less, it's not going to be deposited. but unfortunately, I mean, you can design that kind of system. The wastage of material avoided, as I was talking about precipitation. So in chemical method, so whenever you will be dissolving that solute in the solvent and allowing the solvent to be evaporated, obviously, or the excess solute is going to be precipitated and in the bottom, right? So as far as the Szilard technique is concerned, there is no question of precipitation, and therefore uh, uh, the wastage is going to be very, very minimal. The material which are stoichiometric in nature and doping of semiconducting and desired type of devices formation can be achieved. Like whatever doping you want to do, the doping can be achieved in by using Szilard method. Although it looks simple, but it's going to be very, very effective. The optimization of various preparative parameters could be tabulated along with the film properties. These are the application of Szilard method. The film properties are well compatible with the properties obtained by the other chemical method. So as far as the film properties are concerned, Szilard method gives a better provide better option for deposition of thin film as compared to the other method. This shows a wide applicability of Szilard method for desorption, for deposition of the various uh, chalcogenide materials. So there are different chalcogenide material that can be deposited by using the Szilard method. These chalcogenide materials are technologically very, very important in the development of devices like solar cell, photoconductive cell, etc., etc. At the same time, Szilard opens a window for the preparation of microcrystalline film, which are important for finding new application. So these are some of the important application of Szilard method. So if you look at this, if you compare then the method which we discussed today, like dip coating, spin coating, spray pyrolysis, and the Szilard, it appears to me that the Szilard is going to be better as compared to other method because it doesn't require any infrastructure, but still the properties of the material can be tailored as per your requirement. Then next comes electrochemical synthesis. This section we have already discussed in the last lecture. This we have already discussed. Then chemical vapor deposition. As far as chemical vapor deposition is concerned, again, basic CVD we have already discussed. We have discussed machine which we have developed in our research laboratory. But in syllabus, there are like APCVD, PECVD, MOCVD. We are expecting little, description of all those machines. And therefore, what I did, this we have discussed in the last lecture, these two. What are the sources? What are the materials which can be used for in CVD? What are the substances which can be used? Okay. Types of CVD we have discussed. And today we are going to discuss one by one. Okay, so first of all, atmospheric pressure CVD. In fact, like whatever CVD machine which we have developed in our research laboratory, that is atmospheric CVD machine. But I thought let me give you some additional glimpses of APCVD machine. So APCVD is a CVD method at normal pressure. That is why it is called as atmospheric pressure, which is used for deposition of dope and undoped oxide. So truly speaking, this FECVD machine is being used for deposition of dope and undoped oxide. So if you really want to, like you have silicon substrate, on the top of that, if you want to deposit a SiO2 layer, but if you don't want any doping, then it is quite possible with the FECVD. The deposited oxide has a low density and the coverage is moderate due to relatively low temperature. Because in FECVD, the temperature requirement is relatively low. Because of improved tools, the FECVD undergoes changes. The high wafer throughput is a big challenge of this process. So what are the challenging aspects? The high wafer throughput is a big advantage of this system. High wafer throughput is a big advantage of this process, because because here, if you are having reaction zone, so if broader the reaction zone, you will be able to insert more number of wafers on which the desired material can be deposited. SiO2 layer can be deposited. The process gases like silane, which is highly diluted with nitrogen, and oxygen are used. These are the two different gases, but let me tell you, my friend, silane is very, very hazardous. Silane is very, very hazardous. It is always, it's not only FECVD, and then all other CVD methods. We are most of the time we are using uh, the precursor which is hazardous in nature. So silane is very, very dangerous. The gases are decomposed thermally at about 400 degrees Celsius and react with each other to form a desired film. So this is the basic of FECVD. Whatever gases we are talking about, because we friend, again after 10 minutes this is going to be terminated. So whatever gases you will be using in the vapor stage, those gases are going to be, these are the precursor gases. Those gases are going to be decomposed thermally at about 400. This is approximate as far as FECVD is concerned, 400 degrees Celsius, and react with each other to form the desired film. And this is the typical reaction in case of silane. This is silane plus O2. As a result of that, this SiO2 is going to be deposited on the substrate with liberation of two hydrogen molecules, right? As far as FECVD, again, you can add ozone O3 that can cause better conformity because it improves the mobility of the accumulated particles. Because whatever accumulated particles are going to be there, those particles are going to be moved to improve, like like the improvement of the mobility, like the the transport properties rather, that can be mobility of the accumulated particle can be improved by using O3 as a ozone layer, O3 layer. The oxide is porous and electrically unstable, and that can be densified by the high temperature process. Because ultimately, as I told you earlier, FECVD is being used to deposit the silicon, I mean the oxygen, the SiO2 layer, silicon insulating layer, so that it will act as an interface between drain and source and the gate. Kind of dielectric medium, because we need, like as far as FED is concerned, you need dielectric medium. For that, deposition of SiO2 layer is going to play a very important role. To avoid the edges which can result in difficulty at the deposition of additional layer like phosphorus silicate glass is used for interlayers. To avoid the edges which can result in difficulties at the deposition of additional layers. So whatever difficulty is there, that can be minimized by using porous silicate substrate. Therefore, a phosphine is added to silane and O2 so that the deposited oxide contains 4 to 8 phosphorus. So they wanted to have 4 to 8% of phosphorus, and therefore they have proposed to add phosphine to silane and O2 so that the deposited oxide contain 4 to 8 percent of phosphorus. High amount of phosphorus lead to a high increase of the flow properties. However, the phosphoric acid can be formed which corrode the aluminum. This is again, as far as the high amount of phosphorus is concerned, this will lead to a high increase in flow properties. But at the same time, this is going to have some problem as also. This may corrode the aluminum conductor path. Because of annealing, because annealing affects earlier processes like doping, only short tempering is done with the powerful organ lamp instead of annealing in long-term furnace processes. So the annealing is going to play a very important role as far as the APCVD is concerned. This is a typical machine or picture of APCVD, a typical, very typical picture. You can see here we have got many substrate on conveyor board, and these are the two, precursor gases. These precursor gases are going to brought into the place where the reaction is going to be taking place. Obviously, this is very simplified block diagram. There must be some temperature controller as well, okay? Because we need a very highly controlled temperature which need to be optimized. The flow of N2 is need to be optimized, like all flows of the gases, and most importantly the vapors, right? It is going to be rotated. Is going to be rotated. Okay, so that is going to play very important role as far as APCVD is concerned. Then next comes LPCVD, low pressure CVD. LPCVD reactor use the pressure of P equal to 0.25 to 2 torr, and temperature is going to be 500 to 900 degrees Celsius. So LPCVD, this is low pressure. So it is going to be 0.25 to 2 torr only. And temperature is going to be 500 to 900 degrees Celsius. The transport of reactants from the gas phase to surface through the boundary layer is still not rate limiting. So vapors can be stacked vertically for high throughput in order to achieve the high throughput. You can see here like this. You can see vapors are stacked vertically like this. Okay, so that at a time many number of vapors can be dealt with and you can come up with a good layer as well. What are the possible advantages? Far too low temperature, deposition rate may be too low, film quality decreases. So although it has got low temperature, the deposition rate is going to be very low, and as a result of that it will decrease the quality of the film. Shadowing, less gas phase collision. Due to directional diffusion, the surface, so the deterioration of the strip coverage occurs, because this is going to be another issue as far as the LPCVD is concerned. Shadowing is going to be another issue as far as LPCVD is concerned. And the next one is PECVD. PECVD is plasma enhanced CVD. Plasma helps to break up the gas molecules. It has going to have, this system is going to offer high reactivity, able to process at low temperature and low pressure as well. This is very, very important because plasma is going to play important role here. The precursors higher than in the sputter deposition, more collision of in gas phase less ion bombardment on the substrate. So what is happened? The pressure is going to be higher as far as the PECVD is concerned than the sputter deposition. And as a result of that, more collision will be there in gas phase and less ion bombardment on the substrate is going to taking place. It can run in RF plasma mode, avoid charge buildup for insulator. The process temperature must be around 400 to 400 degrees Celsius. The process temperature must be around 400 to 100 to 400 degrees Celsius. Last one is MOCVD. MOCVD is metal organic CVD, also called as OMPVPE, organometallic vapor phase epitaxy. Unlike conventional CVD, MOCVD is distinguished by the chemical nature of precursor. So here, since it is called metal organic, so all precursors are going to be chemical in nature. MOCVD has been extensively applied in the heteroepitaxial growth of third and fifth groove and second and sixth groove of periodic table. To go, like for example, if you want to grow gallium arsenide, we can use metal organic compounds such as trimethyl gallium for the gallium component and arsenic as a another component. Both chemicals can be transported in vapor form into the reactor, and this is going to be a typical reaction which is going to be taking place. Again, this link is going to be terminated in 1 minute. We have to rejoin by using the same. For Al containing compound, you can use triethyl aluminum, right? If you want to have the aluminum arsenic. During epitaxial growth of whether it is aluminum, gallium arsenide or aluminum arsenide,